Hi, I'm Thomas Smart, and the second edition of my book, Serverless Beyond the Buzzword, was recently published. Now, compared to the first edition, the new book has considerably more content and delves far deeper into the different topics around serverless architecture. Now, this is a series of articles and videos where I walk through each of the new book's chapters, summarizing the content and providing some additional commentary. Chapter 3 starts with a total cost of ownership and covers why this is an important tool for a fair comparison between different architectures. It includes both short-term one-off costs and long-term recurring costs and provides a multi-year view of the total cost of a given application. Server-based applications typically have low upfront costs but high recurring costs, while serverless applications have a more high upfront cost and low recurring cost. So a total cost view over multiple years is really key to ensuring a fair comparison between these. The research from the first edition about the cost of developing serverless is still valid today and has been included in this edition with just some minor updates. Quality serverless development remains slightly more expensive, both with vendors and when hiring talent, especially in the enterprise space where serverless is still rare. Like the first edition, a big part of the chapter is about estimating the operational cost of serverless applications, which remains a challenge for many. In this second edition, I delve much deeper into this topic with more examples and more background. Estimating cloud operational cost is a challenge soon encountered when considering or experimenting with serverless architecture for projects. The many components in serverless architecture are far more complex to estimate than a few application servers. However, with the right input data, serverless estimates can be considerably more accurate and even include per user granularity. For accurate estimates, there are three categories of parameters that need to be collected for an application. We typically start with the business parameters, and these tend to be provided by a product owner or a similar business role. They can be defined based on statistics from existing applications or market research. The main difference with serverless is that details are far more important. A simple total users is just insufficient to get accurate estimates. Instead, we need to create personas of the different types of users and their behavior and then establish the ratio between those. Next, the technical parameters, which are provided by the application team. This can be difficult, especially for teams with limited serverless experience. It can also be challenging to establish technical parameters when it's still very early in the project timeline and there's no detailed requirements available yet. Three approaches can be taken to find the technical parameters, and these range from low effort but also low accuracy to high effort, but that gives you high accuracy. Option 1 is to have reference architectures similar to the planned application that can be used to determine the most likely parameters to include. Such architectures can be found internally if serverless projects have been delivered in the past, or externally from public sources, AWS or cloud consultants. Option 2 assumes an experienced team that can mock up a quick high-level architecture based on a limited project description. This should be sufficient to provide the technical inputs needed for an approximate initial estimate. Option 3 is for less experienced teams or for highly complex applications. In this case, it will be really unavoidable to first design the detailed architecture diagram. This can be a time-consuming process, including creating proof of concepts if any of the requirements are unclear. Once the technical parameters are identified, we link the persona behaviors to the parameters to determine the most likely values. The last parameter type is pricing. Now, documented on the cloud provider's service pages or provided by their pricing APIs, these parameters are relatively easy to find once the relevant technical parameters have been confirmed. It is important to note any free tiers mentioned on the pricing pages. Free tiers can apply either to all accounts or just to new ones for up to 1 year. For example, many services include some free storage before they start billing. Two other big topics for this chapter are about managing costs effectively and cost optimization. AWS provides a suite of cost management services that can help us organize and track cost and usage data. The services improve control through consolidated billing and access permission, enable better planning through budgeting and forecasts, and further reduce costs with resource optimization. Where serverless is concerned, there are two key services where we should start optimizing cost. The storage service S3 and our microservices host Lambda. With services such as DynamoDB, there is a consideration as to which billing model to pick and where the break-even point is. For S3, clearly understanding the different storage classes will help decide on the right one for the data. For Lambda, memory right-sizing is important to manage cost and performance. A common misconception is that having a lower memory configuration always results in a lower cost, but that is not always true. The memory configuration and the execution time determine the cost of a Lambda microservice. Having more memory could reduce execution time, potentially providing better performance at the same or even a lower cost. And that brings us to the end of this chapter. A link to the book and to my blog with all of the chapter articles and videos can be found in the video description. Please connect on LinkedIn, and if you buy the book, please leave a review on Amazon. Thank you.